Hey everyone, welcome to JD in the Duffle Bag. My name is Els and I'm joined by the fabulously amazing, talented Anne-Marie.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Before we get into any questions or anything, just talk about your journey. So you started really young when you were 6.
Yeah.
You were on Les Mis, West End.
I actually went to my first, dance school when I was about 2.
2?
Yeah, my sister's 4 years older than me, so as soon as I could really walk properly, I just went everywhere she went, and I did everything she did. So I went to this Saturday dance thing. I guess back then it was just drama singing and acting. And then this dance school got bigger and bigger, and then it had lambda and ballet, and then it got really big, and it got an agency, and then I joined the agency, and that's when I got into musical theatre. But I didn't know I could sing. I just went for the audition and got it, and then my mum was like, oh, maybe you should do that then. Maybe you should go for more auditions. So honestly, from that age 5 to 12, I was just doing musical theatre, and I just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I got out of school.
What, you get to take days out of school?
Yeah, and they let me, and I was so happy.
That's the best thing when you're 5 years old.
I was so happy, and everyone hated it because I was just getting out of lessons. But yeah, I did matinees, but they only lasted 3 months at a time, and I had to still do all my homework, unfortunately.
Aww.
But I was doing musical theatre, and then I started doing karate at 9. But I never stopped musical theatre. It was kind of always flipping back and forth between it. And that's what my life's been, really, just music and karate the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
So at karate, did you learn it at school, or was it just something you saw on TV or you picked up?
One of my friends at the time was doing it at this club, and then I was like, I want to do a sport outside of school, but I don't know what to choose out of gymnastics and karate, because I love gymnastics as well. And then some guy was handing out leaflets in my area and put the thing through the post, and it was for a karate club, and I was like, that just made my mind up. So I always believe in stuff like that, fate. I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. Yeah. I just joined the club my friend was at and loved it, because I'd done dancing. I think I could pick up the karate moves quite quickly, because it's kind of like dancing, I think, just with a bit of anger.
So with karate, is it, I don't know much about it at all. So when I was at school, a lot of people did judo. And is it kind of similar or not at all?
Nah, judo I think is more physical, tackling. I don't know much about judo, to be honest, but they used to do a judo lesson before my karate class, and I used to see them, and they used to just be going in for sweeps and grabs and stuff, whereas we are more just purely self-defense, and we have to always react after their action. Yeah. So it's very different.
So your self-defense must be on point then?
Yeah.
Because if I'm walking down the street, if someone attacked me, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
If I got karate under my...
I mean, who knows? I'd probably just... Imagine if I was just and just ran. Yeah, I mean, I always...
You never know until you're in the situation.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people, when people go, what should we do if someone does that? I'm like, run. Because if I tell them to do something and then they do it,
then you're to blame.
Run is the best thing ever. But I just loved it, because I was quite a quiet child, so I think karate really helped me come out and just be confident. And my mum and dad felt okay with me hanging out with my friends after school, because I had that in my system. So I mean, it did get a bit intense at one time, where it was my entire life, and it was all I was thinking about. And I would literally walk around corners in my street ready for people. I was literally I'd go around corners like that. I was like, I need to chill out a bit. Yeah.
That's nice though. It's especially for when I was young, I used to do swimming, so it was kind of similar. We had to train twice a day, and it is nice to have something to occupy you.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. How about as a female doing karate then? Was there other girls that used to do it with you, or?
Yeah, there was a mixture. Definitely a lot of different people doing it, different ages, everything. But I just not anyone in my school was doing it, so I was the only girl, and I loved being different so much. I was like, I will do anything to be different. I'll wear different clothes. I have different hairstyle. Not that I did karate to be different, but I loved that it was something that I could say I do karate, and everyone would be like, oh, it's so cool,
like a party trick. Or small talk. Yeah.
I loved it, and I still love it, and I will never not do it, because I need it. I feel like I do get so pent up sometimes, and I just need to just go and do karate, and then I feel fine.
Do you still train then? Or
Whenever.
Is it just whenever you can?
Whenever I can, yeah. Like last year was a myth. I just was on tour I felt like every day I was just doing something else. But yeah, my sensei, my teacher is the best human ever. So we're going to talk about doing private lessons, because I need to do it still.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's like an escape from everything.
Definitely.
So you competed as well, and was it 3 golds you won? Or?
Yeah.
Wow.
3
when
golds.
you were still quite young at this point then.
Yeah, my first 2 were when I think I was 11, and then my second one was when I was 17 or 18.
Wow.
But yeah, that was the Worlds. I won 2 golds the first time, and then I won a gold and a silver. But I never really talk about the silver because I'm so competitive that just isn't good enough for me.
I was like that when I was young.
Yeah, but I think that's...
A silver's still amazing. Second out of everyone.
Definitely. I know that's really good, but for me, that's not good enough.
Yeah. So if you didn't have music, then do you think you would have proper done karate full time?
Yeah, I was already teaching kids karate before I went into music, so I have the diplomas to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like it's an important lesson for people to have and just enjoy. Not even just like to take seriously. You can just go for fun.
Yeah.
And but I definitely think that would be a route I'd go down. But I also always wanted to be like a private detective, because I love finding out bad people.
I love stuff like that.
Me too. I keep getting this like thing on my Facebook like saying, "Oh, Essex are looking for a couple detectives. Do you want to apply?" And I'm like,
Was it like one of those sponsored ads? Yeah. Is it because you look up private detectives?
I don't know. I must be doing something that I'm attracting them to. But yeah.
So maybe later on in life, be a private detective.
I'll have to definitely change my look up, maybe, so people, or maybe I won't, and people won't expect it whatsoever.
Incognito.
Yeah.
So whilst you were doing karate then at school, were you still singing alongside of that, or was it just more of a hobby?
Yeah, I was still doing musical theatre until I was 12, so it overlapped for like 3 years. But when I did the World Championships in karate, that's when I took karate more seriously. And then I was at school just doing normal stuff, and sports became like what I loved more. Yeah. And then I went to college and did performing arts. So then it flipped back when I was older. And obviously karate became a little bit harder, and I wasn't the best in my thing anymore. Well, I felt like I wasn't. Yeah. So I just kind of was like, I need to do a little bit less of that and a little bit more of that. But yeah, I did performing arts at college thinking I was going to be doing musical theatre, like what I'd known my whole life, which I loved. But then I met a songwriter who basically got me into meeting people who helped me write songs, and then I just fell in love with songwriting. It was such a different feeling to do musical theatre, because you're singing someone else's songs in musical theatre, and you become a character, and you're not yourself, and you wear wigs and you dress up as someone else. Whereas singing your own songs is so real to who you are. You look like you sound like you, and you are talking about your life. So for me, it felt more real and just more personal and more fulfilling, I think, for me. So I just carried on going down that route.
Because you can connect to what you're singing about. And also with West End, I suppose you have to sing in a certain way, but with writing your own music, you probably found your own voice as opposed to being trained to
I remember one time I was in Les Miserables, and I was the little girl who sang "There is a castle."
Oh, what's that, Cassette?
Cassette, yeah. So I remember doing that, and one day I was like, I'm going to sing it my own way. I'm going to try a different voice. And I remember going like, "There is a castle." I was like really going for it, and they actually pulled me in the next day and was like, "Were you okay last night?" And I was like, "Okay, I won't try that again."
Won't try anything.
But yeah, it's a very specific sound, and I think it's so beautiful. But and people always say, "Would you go back into musical theatre?" And I'm like, I don't think my voice is in that space anymore. I think if I tried to do it, I'd be a bit like, a bit wrong.
Trained to sing differently.
Yeah.
If you could go back and do one musical, which would be your musical of choice?
I mean, probably Les Mis again, because that was my favourite one.
I love Les Mis.
Yeah.
When I was young, so my sister's 4 years older than me, so she loved Les Mis. She used to sing it all the time, and I'd just be there like, I know all the words to the songs just because she used to sing it.
Yeah.
It's a great musical.
4 years difference is great for sisters, I think.
Yeah. Because like I'm really into video gaming, and she used to play all the games, but I was too young, so I just used to sit. And you have a sister as well?
Yeah,
you?
4 years older.
4
same.
years older.
Just me and her. So she does singing and all that as well. But she's better at speaking to a crowd, and I'm just better at singing to a crowd. When it comes to speaking, I've been doing some awards ceremonies this year, and I honestly just choke.
Do you have to read off the
No, because it's just like, you literally, all you have to say is, thank you everyone, it's so nice to be here, these are the nominees, and like that makes me choke. And it's so weird to think that when I was doing the Ed Sheeran tour, I was singing in front of like 90,000 people, and I was like easy, and then I go up and do like 3 words, and I'm like, yeah, so...
I was going to say, like, how do you ever get nervous anymore then? If you've been doing it your whole life, is there any one point where you've gone on stage and thought, oh God, there's so many people? Yeah,
every time I go on stage I feel that. Even last night I had a show, and it was, I'm side stage, and I can't even describe it. It's like I'm not there. It's like I can see people looking at me, and this is just side stage, so like there are people around me going, good luck, have fun. I'm like, and I'm just not
like
there.
You're in a zone,
yeah. And then I go out, and that's when the fun starts. But there's not been one show where I've not been nervous. But I think that's good.
It's a good thing, I think, because if you weren't nervous, then you might be more relaxed and forget to do things.
Yeah.
When you're nervous, your brain is just so on point that you can't forget anything.
Yeah.
I'm the same, but the opposite way. So I sing in the shower. Like if I was on a stage and someone was like, right, sing now, I couldn't do it. But if they said talk, then yeah, I could talk in front of people.
It's a talent.
It's mad how different comfort zones affect different people. So when you wrote your first song, can you remember your first song? What was it like?
Well, my nan and I used to write poems together when we were younger. Not that that's a song, but I remember her teaching me to rhyme.
It's a form of poetry.
So I remember that was when I was maybe like maybe actually younger, maybe like 10. And I always remember those days just writing in this book. And then my first song, I don't even know the name of it, but it wasn't that good. I honestly feel like every time I write a better song than the last, it makes me think like that song wasn't good. But
so even songs that you've released, do you look back and think, I don't like them?
Yeah, because I think I can do better already. So it's. I mean, everyone always says I'm my worst enemy because I'm so critical of myself in every single thing that I do, that I just, when I bring out a song, I'm like really excited about it and I love it, and then I'm like, I could have done that better, and I'm going to write a better song than that next week. But I guess that's why I keep going, because otherwise I'll just be like really happy with just that one song and just. And also
it's probably one of the reasons why you're successful, because if you weren't self-critical, then you wouldn't be releasing
I'd
stuff.
Be content with what I have. I think definitely I've improved, and I've definitely learnt from everyone I've worked with, which I think is really important to do in any industry, because I feel like sometimes you can just be like, okay, I've learnt from that one person, now I can do it on my own, and that's so not true, because I've learnt so many different things from different people, yet all in the same industry in songwriting, but each one has taught me a different thing, and it's made me able to write songs now on my own without people. So I always learn from everyone, no matter how far along I am, or even now I'll go in a session and learn from someone, and I just think learning is such an important thing.
Yeah. I think that even like the people you learn from, they either learn from you or there's someone else that they're learning from. So I think it just it's a never-ending cycle. Yeah. So when you're in the studio writing a song, who is your favourite person that you've worked with in terms of writing?
I've got a few different people that I tend to stick with. I have this lady called Nat Dunn, who I wrote Friends with, and also this girl called DeLacy, who is a recent person that I've just started writing with, and she's amazing. And producers, I love this guy called Oak Fielder in LA. I love writing in LA, and I don't know why. It's just maybe it takes me out of home. Because when I'm in London and I'm writing, I feel like I'm eager to go home because I'm not home much. So when I'm in London, I'm like, I just want to be at home in front of the telly. But when I'm in LA, I'm in a whole new place. So those two are my favourite at the moment. There's this guy called Blake Slatkin that I really love at the moment, that I've been writing a lot of songs with. And I just, it's strange because I do kind of get anxiety about being in the studio because it's like, oh, I have to write a song today and I have to write a hit. And it's quite a lot of pressure. But as soon as you get in the studio, it's just like you're playing football or you're playing a game. And it's just like you have the most fun ever. And you just, when you have fun, that's when you write hits. So.
Do you have like a process then of when you write? Do you need the right music playing? Do you need the right people in the room with you? The right mood?
I definitely feel like recently I've had this routine where I'd be on the way to the studio and I look out the window on the way to the studio and whatever word catches my eye, I write a song on the way to the studio.
It's kind of like I Spy.
Yeah. And then I get to the studio and I go, this is what we're going to write about. You do whatever you want to do with the music. And the producer normally writes, Oak always writes an amazing beat and chord progressions, so it's easy to write a song over. So it definitely is easier when you have an idea, because I don't really want to go to the studio and depend on other people to give me a subject to talk about. I always feel like my music is my thing because I'm talking about what I feel, and it's always about real life. So I never can make a song that someone else has come up with, because I'm like, oh, I haven't done this and I'm not proud of it. Oh. So it's definitely got to come from my brain.
Yeah.
But that also means that some days I don't write at all because I can't force anything either.
I was going to say that if you get to the studio, for example, and for whatever reason you're just not in the right frame of mind or the right mood, do you still try and make a song, or are you just like, look, today is not the day?
I can't do it. So like, I've tried to push through things like that, but I know when it's right and when it's not, and people get frustrated with me actually, because when I'm in the studio and I'm writing something for maybe 10 minutes and it's not coming to me, I'm like, we need to move on to another beat or another song, and they're like, please just try a little bit longer. And I'm like, no, I can't do it, because every song I've ever written has always come so quickly, and that's how I feel like when it works the most. So yeah, definitely days where I just sit and do nothing and just eat food instead.
It's interesting because like in any profession, if you're having a bad day, people just like, look, just take a step back. But I'm assuming you're quite a perfectionist, you're self-critical. It's so hard to do that because you're like, no, because I need to make a song today, and if I don't, then all this will go wrong. But in reality, as you said, if it doesn't click, then other people won't relate to it either. Yeah. And as a listener, especially for me, like when I listen to a song, you always know within the first 30 seconds whether it's a really good song or not.
And also live, people always tell when you're really feeling it on stage or not. So when it comes to writing stuff, that I always think about what the live performance or the music video, and if it doesn't come up in my head straight away, then I'm like, what's the point in writing about it? So there's so many different elements that I've actually learned from the last album, because when I was writing the first album, it was such a personal record that I didn't think about performing it live. I was just in the studio and in the moment, and I wanted to write about that thing. Then when it got to doing the live show, which I ended up doing for over 2 years, it was like, that's really hard to perform that one live, and that doesn't really get the audience going. And it taught me so much about this new record coming, is that every time I write something, I'm like, will that make the crowd feel something? Will it make them move? Will it make them do that? Are they going to sing that back to me? Will they remember that melody easily so they can sing it straight away? There's just, you learn so many things. I've learned so many things since the last record.
It's like your journey as an artist, though,
yeah.
Because if the first one was probably just you getting out all of your emotions into like a body of work, and then you obviously go on tour, as you said, and now it's more like, okay, we've done that, how do we progress the sound? And then also like thinking about what your audience likes. It's interesting how it goes. So obviously you released the first album, and your sound's going to develop over time. Is there any new inspirations that you've taken in terms of your sound, new direction?
I think it's definitely more... It's definitely... I don't even know how to explain it. It feels more confident. Like, it feels like I know what I'm doing. And the first album, I feel like there's a lot of songs on there that just feel in different places, and that's because they were. So I feel like this album I've worked with just a few producers, and I've written it in a short amount of time, so I know that it all sounds in a similar place. But yeah, it's I'm probably going to look back at this album and say exactly the same about the last album, so I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Who, if you could pick like 3, I would go between 3 and 5 artists ever, who would you pick, like your top artist that you would either take inspiration from or just have admired in life?
I think when I was a teenager, it was Alanis Morissette, Lauryn Hill and Pink.
Oh, I loved Pink.
They were like my 3 women that I listened to every night after school, and Eminem. But then... Is
this like early Eminem or...
Yeah, early Eminem.
Newer Eminem, okay.
I mean, I like the new Eminem, but the old Eminem is like my memories of my childhood. Because my mum wouldn't let us listen to it, and my dad used to let us listen to it on the sly. So.
My parents were the same.
But I think now, obviously, I still am inspired by those people, and they've taught me, well, they helped me when I was a kid. So they still have a special place in my heart. But I feel like new people that I listen to now are like J. Cole, Chance the Rapper, Kendrick Lamar, more rappers. I feel like I love rappers because they talk realness. Like, everything that they say is from a real place and their struggle, and they're not scared to be vulnerable in their lyrics. And I just feel like I know everything about them when I'm listening to their songs. I could listen to a song and be like, oh, he went through that, and I can speak to someone and be like, oh, did you know that? Because they say it, and I take so much inspiration from that, and I want people to know who I am from listening to my songs. I don't necessarily have to do an interview or speak to them in person for them to know what I'm like and what I think like and what I do. So rappers are a massive inspiration to me, I think.
I think especially with like the artists you mentioned, like Chance, J. Cole, Kendrick, they're all very, very good lyricists. And they tell a story. Like, have you watched Rhythm and Flow? It's a new show on Netflix. So I've been watching that.
Me
and
too.
then I don't want to give spoilers to anyone, but one of the people, the contestants, he's very similar to Kendrick Lamar. He's just like phenomenal. And so I've gone back and started listening to Kendrick's first album, Good Kid, Mad City. And I think that's one of my favorites because it just tells a story. Yeah. And I think, I don't know how you feel, but as an artist, I love it when an album just like flows and you get to know like their experiences through that. It's
like the album A Grand Don't Come For Free. That was a complete story the whole way through. Yeah. And it's just, it's so great to listen to it the whole way through, and you do know everything about that guy. And that's the beauty of an album, I think. Like, you can have singles which are played on the radio, but my favourites are always the album tracks.
Yeah, 100%. I love finding like the one song that not everyone knows about, but for some reason you connect to it more than like the big ones that are on the chart. Yeah, it's interesting. How do you feel then in terms of music nowadays? I think with the streaming era, and I think we just, as listeners, we want stuff that's more instantaneous. So some people say that albums are dying and singles are more like successful in a way. Do you think that albums still are very, very important?
I think personally to me they are, but I'm not sure if they are in the wide scheme of things. I think for me I guess the compromise is, as an artist, that I'm going to try and write singles for every song of the album, but I have to make them all mean something, because I don't think I can ever write a song that doesn't mean anything or it hasn't got a strong storyline behind it, which is actually probably quite a good thing, because I'll never feel like, look back on a song and be like, oh, I shouldn't have put that one out, or that didn't really mean anything on that album. But yeah, I think albums to me are important because we were brought up in the album life, so we appreciate it. But I think to compromise with what is happening in the world now, you have to write songs that could be a single but still make them have a meaning. This is a great example, is Rockabye. Like, I think that song is such a single, and it's for radio, but it's about a single mother looking after a child, and it's like you can do it. Like that song made me think you can write a hit song and still have it mean something. Yeah.
Because I think, especially with hit songs as well, a large part is like it being memorable or having a good melody. Because with something like Rockabye, it's a very, very deep message, but half the people that are listening probably won't read into the message because they're just like, get stuck in the head.
Yeah, but that's also what you got to master. Like,
it's very clever if you think about it.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard. Like, melody and lyric is completely different sections of a songwriting session.
Yeah.
Because I can sometimes come up with a melody first and be like, that's good enough to put lyrics to, and then, or the other way around. So you can have the brilliant lyrics, but if you put a crap melody to it, you're not going to have it in a song. So each of them is so important, and they don't come at once. Not for me anyway. They don't. I definitely don't go into a session and just sing the sickest lyrics to the sickest melody. Like, both are so different parts and so important. So yeah, it's hard to write a song. It's hard to write a hit song.
I can imagine. That's why they're so rare to find.
Yeah.
So when you wrote Rockabye, for example, when you're in the studio, and did you come up with the melody first for that, or was it more
I didn't write Rockabye.
Oh, did you not?
Yeah. So that was done by a lady called Ina Ralston and Steve Mack, who I've written with before.
Yeah.
But they wrote that, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, I need to sing this song. But but when it comes to stuff like, I wrote Friends, so and every other song that I've done, just
Friends,
not Rockabye.
Is so catchy.
Yeah.
Every time I listen to it, it's just in my head.
But the weird thing is, I didn't think that was a hit, and I actually never thought any of my songs were hits until they were hits, and it just goes to show that you need to. I find it really hard trusting people in this industry, and like trusting that other people know my music more than me, because they're in that job position for a reason, and I'm like, nah, this is my music, I know when it's a hit. But all of my whole entire career has been people telling me that my song is a hit before I've even thought it. So it kind of makes me think that I need to trust people a little bit more in their job role.
Self-critical as well. It's like staring at a photo of yourself for too long, and then you start thinking, no, it's not nice.
Yeah, it's so mad. There's been so many photo shoots that I've done that on the day I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm never posting that ever. And then I've looked back at it 2 years later and I'm like, oh, that's sick. I should have posted that. It's just, this is why every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, I really hate what I look like, but do I actually look good? Because my eyes deceive me so much, and my ears deceive me with songs. So it's always good to get other people's opinions, but don't be fully persuaded by someone else's opinion, because you've got to remember that some of you is right.
Yeah, and especially if you've written the song as well, and you're passionate about it, then to a certain extent, you have to go over your gut.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it would feel wrong releasing the wrong track.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit then, you originally started writing when you were 17, 18, did you say?
Yeah, probably,
and
I guess.
when did you then start, okay, I want to make a single? Did you pitch it to labels, or did you just like, okay, this is what I want to do?
So when I was about 19, I think, I was actually in the studio singing someone else's songs for them to get their songs signed. So I didn't think anything of it, and I just went to studio, went back to college, and then that management label contacted me and said they wanted to sign me from hearing my voice on the song.
Oh, wow.
So honestly, at that time, I was still at college, like wanting to go to musical theatre, and I hadn't even thought about like that career, or even thought it was possible, because like from my little corner house in Essex, London seems like a massive different world that I've never been to. So I think as soon as I had that meeting with them and they said, we want to sign you, I was like, oh, all right, let's try this out and see what happens here. Because I feel like I'm that type of person that will literally try anything that gets thrown my way, because I feel like the universe telling me that that's the thing to do at the time. So it was probably at that moment I was like, okay, yeah, let's try this. And then I was working with different people and learning about songwriting and learning about what I look like, because before then I didn't really care about what I looked like. I used to look like a tramp. I used to just like walk around in old people's clothes and just not really care about my appearance. And I think as soon as I started in this industry, it made me really think about what I wanted to be and be proud of what I look like and concentrate on what my career might be. So I think it was honestly that moment where I got into that meeting and thought it could be an opportunity. That's where I took it seriously.
Yeah.
But it took long. It took long, and I still am changing now. So I think that's the problem, is that I changed so much so quickly that I couldn't really put my finger on who I was, and no one else could either, because every song I was writing was a different genre. I was coming back with like rap, and then I was coming back with like rock, and then reggae, and then pop. Everyone was like, who are you? Like, I was like, I don't know, I'm just being creative, I guess.
Finding your sound.
So it was hard. It was really hard, and it was a struggle, and I was going through personal issues at the same time, like anxiety and eating problems and just proper mad issues at the same time as trying to discover who I was, and it was so hard. And honestly, it wasn't until like last year or this year even, the start of this year, I fully felt like, okay, I feel like I'm actually present in this life, and I'm in my body, and I'm thinking with my own brain. And this is why I'm so excited about the new music coming, because I feel like I'm fully here, and I'm experiencing it in real time, instead of just like being like this the whole time, like a zombie. Like, because I'm too busy thinking about if people like me or if they hate me, and I'm like, I don't really want to be in big crowds, and that part of my brain took me away from what I was experiencing in life. I spent 2 years touring with Rudimental around the world, and I can't remember it because I was so filled with anxiety and depression and so many issues in my brain that I can't remember most of my life. And it's so mad to think that it's took this long to finally start remembering memories. And that's probably why I had to take this amount of time from the last record to produce this one, because I was actually just becoming myself. And it took ages. Like, I'm 28. It shouldn't take that long really to feel present with yourself, but it just goes to show that just because you don't know who you are when you're 18 and you should be an adult now and you should know what you want to do, it doesn't mean that that's right or true or that's what you're going to be for the rest of your life. And that's what I've learned. I'm definitely going to feel different in a couple of years from now, and I'll probably be like, I don't remember that part of my life either. So
I thought I found myself.
Yeah. I find my life so mad. I feel like my memories are all over the place because I've struggled with anxiety, and it's caused a bit of memory loss. And
it's so important though, because you don't realise how relatable that is for people. Like, I'm 28 as well, and I feel exactly the same. Like, my whole 20s I feel like are a blur, because there's so much pressure on young people to, and especially with social media, it's like you go online, you've got these people like they're engaged and they've just bought a house and they've got their whole life sorted out, and you're like, wow, I literally don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I still don't know who I am, and stuff happens, and like you feel like you're a shell, like you're just walking around, and then at the end of the day you're like, oh well, that was all right, and like great things happen, like you've achieved so much, and then you might find people be like, aren't you so proud, and you're kind of just like, oh, that happened.
Am I? Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
It's so relatable, because I'm sure so many, if like both of us feel the same way, and there's so many other people that do it. And I think, I don't know about being an artist, but if you've got stuff going on personally, that probably did reflect in your music when you were making loads of different genres, because you were like, right, I need a hit, or I need to escape from how I'm feeling today, so let me make this record. I
think when you're just like trying to find out who you are, you don't know who you are. So it's like, how am I supposed to? I mean, there are some artists that literally know who they are from and what sound they want to make from when they're like 14, and like kudos to them, because they can do it much quicker than I did. But I definitely struggled so much with finding my sound, and it wasn't because I wasn't good enough, and that's what I thought. I was like, I'm not good enough because I don't know who I am, and it definitely wasn't that. It was just because I didn't know, the fact I didn't know who I was or who I was trying to become, that's what I struggled so much with, finding the sound. But I feel like I've found it now. I feel like I've got a good balance between being different and being pop enough for people to be able to just bop their head along and not have to really think too much about the lyrics, which is what I've wanted to get to. Before, I think I was so concentrated on lyrics and people listening to me, and I want you to know what I'm going through. Listen to my story. Whereas, like, why should I have to push that on someone?
Yeah.
Just listen to my music and enjoy it, and if you understand the lyrics, then sweet. But yeah, I think I'm in a good place now.
Definitely. I think it does come with like experience as well.
Yeah,
and
for
age.
sure.
For sure. Like, I don't know about you, but when I turn 28, I'm just like, well, 30's come in now, and I'm starting to like care less about being accepted by other people and being like other people. And one thing I really like about you is you say like your definition of perfect is being different, which I think the same thing. I'm just like, I try and focus on my differences, because especially nowadays everyone is similar, or they want to be similar, or they go online and they see something they like and like, oh, I want to look like that, or I want to dress like that. And it's just important to have people that,
you know what, it's fine to like want to dress like someone else, but put your own spin on it. Like, I can buy some trousers that I think some girl looks sick in, but I'll wear it with a different top or a different shoes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, learning from people and taking inspiration from people, but not completely copying them to the point where you don't know who you are. It's always putting your own spin on it and remembering who you are. I think that's important. And honestly, when I turned 28, my life changed. Like, and I didn't believe it was going to happen, because 2 of my really close friends who are older than me said, when you turn 28, everything changes. You care less about what people think. Everything. And I was like, whatever. Yeah, great, cool. And then as soon as I turned 28, it happens.
It does. It just hits you and you're like,
it's amazing. I've loved this year. It's been the best year of my life.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for my 30s, because my mum says that her 30s were her favourite years.
My mum said that as well.
So I can't wait for them.
I'm really excited, but I don't want it to be like an anticlimax when I get there.
I know, imagine that. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah, thanks for picking me up and having. No, but I'm excited. I feel exactly the same. And it's like, a few years ago, I was so like, I want to go out every weekend. Friday and Saturday, I want to go out. I need to look really nice all the time. And now I'm just like, if I have a bad day, like, I look bad. Like, but on a good day, I'm fine. So.
But this is why I try and say all of this on social media so much. I try and put all of what we know now into captions and on tweets, because I'm hoping that like people that are younger than us realise it before they're 28.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's literally that age that all of a sudden you have this like thing, or if it's because we have learnt it at this age. So I'm like, that's why I'm so focused on social media and using it for good and encouraging people and trying to make people think that maybe if it's like some 23-year-old girl and she goes, oh, actually, why do I care so much about what people think of my, like, and I change that and I help that person get to where we are before they're 28, then they'll have more fun in their 20s. Because I feel like I didn't have much fun in my 20s, and I'm annoyed about that, because I was so thinking about other people and what they think of me. So I'm like trying to encourage people to...
I'm exactly the same. I saw your tweet when you were like, I kind of like it when I have spots on my face.
Yeah.
Because it adds character.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've always felt like my face was boring. Like I have a normal face.
Yeah.
So when I get spots, I'm like, ooh, I look different today.
I had a skin infection a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then it spread to my eye and like my whole face blew up. But instead of... I hid it for a while, and then I was just like, do you know what? I feel like I'm being a fraud. Like I was posting photos where it looked really nice and everything. And then one day I just took a selfie and my face has got scabs all over it, and I just uploaded it. And I was just like, you know what, guys, like this is my face and this could happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And then like everyone was so supportive, and people commented being like, it adds character to your face. I kind of like the eye. And I was like, okay.
It's mad.
I know.
It's so true though, because it is embarrassing when you go through stuff like that, because you do feel like no one else has posted about it, and you're like, maybe they're embarrassed, so I should be embarrassed. But as soon as one person posts about something, you realise yourself how many other people are going through it, and the people that are going through it as well realise that it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important for people, I think, with a following on any social media platform, to use it to their advantage in that aspect. You know, like Cardi B's now like doing politics and she's talking about all of that stuff, and I'm like, yes, go on, girl.
That's important as
well.
well.
It's important. Like, a lot of people might not want to know about politics, but she feels strongly about it and she wants to post about it. So if I feel strongly about something, I'm going to post about it, and I don't care if it's annoying people that aren't going through it, but if it's helping people that are going through it, then that's all that matters.
My whole thing is if it helps one person at least, then it does something.
Yeah.
What do you think about these filters at the moment then, with the cosmetic ones and
I used one yesterday and it freaked me out. It was like it had like the
Louis V one.
Yeah, and it had like it made my nose really small and it made my lips really big. And I was like, is this a joke? Is this supposed to be funny, or is it like a girl's gonna want to look like that?
This is the thing though, because I think the BBC did an article and I think they're banning it, but I've seen people that are only using that filter. They won't like take a video without it, and I'm like, you want to look like that?
Yeah.
And imagine all the young girls that are like 15 and 16 that probably look up to people and are seeing like, oh, do I need big lips like this, or do I need...
But that's the thing about celebrating difference as well. It's like, why would you want to look the same as someone else? You might think they're pretty, but when you look like them, you just look like them. It's like, there's nothing special about looking like someone else. I just think that's so boring to me. So like, if you look different, I would do anything in my power to make that even more prominent on my social media. Like, if I had a massive forehead, I would be all over my forehead on social media. I'd be like, who else has got a big forehead? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's weird to me that people are getting their face in ways, or their bodies in ways, by using a thing on Instagram, filter on Instagram, because they makes them look like someone else. It's just like, yo, it's crazy to me. I used it yesterday and I was like, this shit is crazy. It made me feel weird when I was using it, and it actually saddens me that it makes people feel more comfortable, because it made me feel weird. And I'm like, where would someone be, or where would I be in a place where that would make me feel good instead of weird? Like, where am I at in my life?
I know.
Yeah.
I think as long as there's people similar to us that just push for people to love their differences, then I'm sure it will help people.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't know, sometimes I lose hope, but it's just important.
The thing is, you can't blame people. It's just happening naturally, and maybe when they get older, they'll be like, oh, I was so stupid then. You remember that? I used to try and do it, and it's all subjective, and it's all personal, and you can't really ever comment on someone else's life. Like, I can say, why are you doing that? But really, it's their life. Like,
everyone's
it's nothing to do with me. They can do what they want, but I just wish people would celebrate their differences more and just appreciate their face. Appreciate their body. Like, sometimes my weight fluctuates so much. One week I can be like a stone lighter than the next. I can have a double chin one week and then have the perfect jawline out like the next week, and I've learned to love every part of that. Like, before, when I was skinny, I wanted to be bigger, and then when I was bigger, I wanted to be skinny again, and I'd be always like wanting what I didn't have. And now when I'm on my period, I put on like half a stone. I'm like, oh, I kind of like my bum like this. This is nice. And then I lose it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I like that part of my like, chest there where it's at. And so I think it's just living with what you have and just appreciating at that time, like not always wanting something else that you don't have.
Definitely.
Is annoying.
And just being a nice person. That's all. Just be a good person.
That's all that matters,
have
really.
Have a good personality.
I mean, like, let's just cut this bullshit. Like, life isn't about what you look like, and it is, obviously there is a massive stigma, like, oh, I won't get that job if I'm not presented well, and oh, I've got spots so I can't do that, and there is all of that stuff. But I think the more and more we try and push through differences and have different models modelling different stuff, like bigger ladies modelling that stuff, and then people of colour modelling that stuff, and the more differences we see, the more normal it comes. So I'm just, I mean, that you are right. If you're a good person, that's all that matters. I want to be your friend if you're a good person. I don't want to be your friend because you're pretty.
Definitely. I love this conversation. Like, it's one of my favourite things to talk about. But we're running out of time. So we've got new music coming. I'm excited to hear it now, because from what you've told me, it's just like probably something that I could connect to as well, and I'm sure so many other people.
Yeah, I hope so. They're all very different subjects. Like, as I grow and change, I'm writing about that. So my songs will never be the same as the songs I've already written, which I think is a blessing. I just think... it just feels like it's right. Like, I feel like there's nothing that I would change, which is so weird because I've always wanted to change everything. Yeah. And, like, we've got the singles figured out, we've got the album figured out, and it's like, it feels right. And I just can't wait to perform it live and just see people listen to it and everything about it. I just can't wait.
I'm sure that will come off as well on stage.
Yeah, I hope so. I thought about it. I had to think about it, so hopefully it works. Imagine if it just so bad.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And if you've got anything else, anything itching that you need to tell the people?
Not really. I hope you enjoy the new music. Yeah, and big up yourself if you look different.
All right, thank you guys for listening. I've been Els with Anne-Marie. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.